You can't hear me snapping my fingers, so that gimmick is kind of useless, right? Oh, I'm supposed to say ASMR too, because I'm whispering. Anyway, that was really forced, but okay. So people want me to do more stories, and people ask me about this story before, and other video game stories. And I fucking have warned you guys. I don't have a lot of good memories from playing video games. I regret it, if anything. But okay. And I should also say a forewarning or for a warning or something like that. This isn't necessarily to make some of these maliciously make some of these people sound like evil or something like that. It's just it is what it is, right? I mean, if you don't like the story, if you don't think it happened, I mean, the truth is the truth, right? You know what I mean? So I don't know. Maybe the truth hurts, but this isn't necessarily to make anyone sound like the devil or something. But a lot of people probably won't sound good in this story. Anyway, okay, so some people ask about sometimes about that way long, long ago when there was that East Coast versus West Coast tournament at Evo for Guilty Gear, right? So let's talk about that. Many, many, many years ago when I was a wee youngin', before I could even drive, there's this going to be this tournament at Evo for Guilty Gear. Is going to be East Coast versus West Coast, right? So let's get to a little bit before that, right? So how would we do the setup for this as to why this happened? Well, for Evo Japan that year, and God, there still was Evo Japan. This is like the very beginning stuff of when Evo started, almost like it was before that it was called like the B series, and then there was Evo, and then there's like even Evo Japan. But for I don't think it wasn't actually called Evo Japan. It was called something else. I don't remember what that's called, but it's basically the big Japanese tournament, right? So the shady thing that happened with that is basically for the US qualifying spots, basically it was in California and they didn't tell anyone that they were doing this. Besides, like, I think it was literally, I don't even know if they gave everyone a week notice. It might have been a week notice at most, right? And we're like, oh yeah, this is the tournament for, I forget what it was called. It wasn't called Evo Japan yet. It was called something else. Togeki? I forget what the fuck it's called, right? So long. Oh, SBO. Super Battle Opera? Is that what it was called? Does anyone remember that is still old like me? Anyway, for Guilty Gear, so basically they put on whatever Shoryuken or Game Combos or whatever the fuck it was at the time. It's like, oh yeah, so we're having the US spots for Guilty Gear in a tournament right now, and it's happening this Saturday, so be there, be square. And everyone was like, dude, what the fuck? You're having the qualifiers and you're giving us like a few day notice? Like, this is such fucking bullshit, right? And it's like, yeah, we're gonna do it in California. So pretty bullshit, right? I should say, for what it's worth, though, already at this time, even as young as I was, I had already started teaching myself how to play on controller because my hands were going on me. So, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, it was an arcade tournament, so I would have been fucked anyway. But point is, that's still really fucking shady, right, dude? I mean, to just give a whole community, the whole North America, a few day notice and be like, yeah, this is the tournament for the world tournament. You'll have a few days notice. Here it is. Anyway, so there's already a bit of a bad taste in your mouth about the West Coast, right? And there's always been a sort of East Coast, West Coast, whatever, because video games are a competitive nature, right? Anything that's competitive, right? So that was a bit shady, right? Next shady thing. So at the time, um, the people that were winning the most tournaments in the Midwest and East Coast was me and a guy named Drew, right? And so there's this big tournament in Chicago, right? And it was actually an anime tournament. And at the time, anime tournaments being big for a game was not a real thing, right? It was pretty obscure. But at the time, so there's this big tournament, an anime tournament in Chicago. And God, I think there was like hundreds of people, right? Like, I mean, not that everyone was good, but the people that were like good in Guilty Gear at the time in the Midwest, in America, Midwest and East Coast were all there besides Drew, actually, right? So what happened is, and then Mikey, who was actually at the SBO qualifier, and I think he got third. Did he get third or fourth? I forget what he got. Maybe if he watches this, he'll know. He was at the Chicago tournament too, and because he was from California, at least I think he's from California. And so we're at the tournament, and I don't know Mikey well. I mean, we talk sometimes, you know what I mean? I don't think he's a bad guy that I've talked to him. But what happened was, so the tournament, the brackets for that tournament were set up so fucking shady. So we saw the brackets for the tournament. And remember, the person that had been winning the most tournaments around that time was kind of like me, right? You know what I mean? I was like the most known Midwest East Coast player there probably at that time since Drew wasn't there. Um, so we look at the brackets, and for some reason, Mikey in the brackets, he only had to win one match to make it to the finals of the tournament. And we're like, dude, what the fuck? What is this like weird bracket? So people started calling it the, I don't know if I should say his handle. I don't know if he wants me to, but again, and I'm like, dude, what is this fucking bullshit? So we go to the tournament director. I'm like, dude, why does everyone else have to like go through this whole tournament just to verse him, and he's in the finals? Like he only has to win one match to get to the finals. I'm like, it was super fucking shady. So the tournament director, dude, he's like, oh well, he told me to make it like that. And we're like, dude, what? That's not how a tournament is fucking run, dude. There's like 100 people here, right, dude? So we go to Mikey and we go to the tournament guy or something like that. We're like, dude, what the fuck is this bracket? And so Mikey says, I don't know anything about it, right? I would like to believe that he doesn't know anything about it, right? Again, I don't, we talk sometimes, I don't think he's a bad guy that we've talked before, but definitely pretty shady sounding at least, right? So he's like, oh no, I didn't do this. And so then the tournament director is like, oh no, it's my fault. I guess I didn't know how you run a tournament. So let's just make all the brackets how they're supposed to be. So then it was a real tournament. Anyway, long story short, then I end up winning that tournament. Man, I won that tournament really badly, dude. Like, I got like some double perfects on people in the tournament. It was bad, dude. I won that tournament super easily. I mean, I can tell you, dude, I won that tournament so easily. I couldn't even tell you how I fucking won it. I don't remember. It was bad, but and I just I don't even remember. It was like such like a nothing thing. And like I said, it was everyone in the Midwest and East Coast that was actually kind of really considered good at the time, like legitimately that had done stuff in tournaments was there besides Drew, like I said. Anyway, so then we already get like, okay, so maybe there's more like shadiness between like the West Coast guys and East Coast guys, right? Like they actually tried to like scam this tournament, right? So anyway, at this time, then Jason, whatever you want to call, whatever. Some people call him Jason, some people call him Jin. He started talking a lot of shit to the East Coast guys about this and about other things, to the point that they decided at Evo that there was going to be an East Coast versus West Coast for Guilty Gear, a big tournament, right? Top five versus top five. So I should say this is so I was named the team captain of Team East Coast. Just because I had been winning the most tournaments then as we're getting to Evo. Again, I kept winning these tournaments. And which is funny because I think anyone that knows me, I'm not friends with a lot of people. I'm Team Clayton. It's always funny. Like sometimes, and I'm going off on a tangent here. Sometimes people that like were my haters back in the day tried to say that I only won local tournaments. But then you always hear people like, oh, I think Clayton was from this state. I think Clayton was from this state. Like people don't realize, dude, in the few years that I had, was going to tournaments and winning, dude, like especially for something like Guilty Gear, I can only think of maybe 4 or 5 at most Guilty Gear tournaments that were ever in the state that I lived. And that even seems like I'm just going to say 4 because even 5 seems too much because people would not play me because I would beat people in tournaments and just casually so bad. I mean, there's even the story, if people remember, I went to, it was either, I think it was like a Buffalo or Pittsburgh or kind of tournament or something like that. I showed up for the tournament. There was like 60 people there, dude. They canceled the entire tournament when I showed up because I was beating people in casual so bad. They're like, there's no point in having the tournament. They're like, because we know you're going to win, and then Kenji's probably going to get second, and then so we're just fighting for third. So they canceled the entire fucking tournament, dude. And I had driven to. This was actually a little bit after this. That specific story is after this East Coast versus West Coast thing. But just to go to show you how people thought that I was local, but I actually had to go to all this kind of crap, dude. But they actually canceled that entire tournament. That's another story. That was such fucking bullshit, dude. But make me fucking drive all that way, dude, because I drove to meet Kenji, and then Kenji drove the rest of the way. And like I said, that was actually a little bit after this, because that tournament was actually after this Evo. So I just went off on a tangent there, but also I should say during the summer, if people are going to ask how my health was, I was on disability that year, actually. Yeah, so my health was getting pretty bad, actually. that summer, actually, again, going off on a tangent here, actually, if people recall, a pretty well-known, somewhat famous Tekken player was actually living with me for a time, and Drac Joel. People are old enough to remember him, who was, he's won tournaments all over the world. Actually, it's pretty crazy. He's pretty known for a time, and just to go to show you how my health was getting, because me and him, he moved in for the summer, and me and him never hung out once because when I first got sick, I was getting a lot of chronic migraines and cluster headaches, and my thyroid, I ended up having a lot of thyroid problems, and of course I got my thyroid nuked, and all my hair started coming out, which is so funny that it's so fucked up. If people wonder why I think the video game community is such scum, for people to think that I would like purposely have my hair fall out, you know what I mean? It just so ridiculous, dude. But because actually, yeah, that was right after Evo, I did the radiation. But whatever the case, so I had been already getting pretty sick that summer, dude. I was tired all the time. I just didn't have energy to do shit. So, ooh, boy, we're going off on a tangent. So here's some drama that happened though with the East Coast team. Again, they named me the team leader, even though I didn't want to be. You know what I mean? Just because it's like, oh, Clayton wins, I guess. So he's the team leader. So we did not have a fifth spot on the team. Okay. So at the time, I think the tournament was, I'm so old now, it was me, Kenji, Drew, and Malik, right? And then the fifth spot, they didn't know who it was going to be. And we were trying to decide who it was. And I remember some of the people that were in contention were people like Tom Ass, who I've talked about in a story before. But Tom couldn't commit that he could go to Evo. And of course, I've told the story about Tom as well, that Tom used to think that I was out to get him or something because I knew some of these Team Serious guys who, again, I've told the story. Thomas actually thought that maybe I was, with the Team Serious guys and colluding against him. And there's that whole story of, God, the community tried to make up all this bullshit about me and Tom. And then years later, they admitted Team Serious guys had actually been stealing from Tom. God, so fucked up, dude. You know what I mean? But I took the blame for that because people didn't like Tom. And again, they kind of quietly swept that under the rug that the whole time it actually was the Team Serious guys that had been going to tournaments and stealing people's games. How fucked up is that, right? But people kind of try not to let Clayton take the blame, and then years later, people admit that, oh yeah, some of these Team Serious guys were actually really fucking shady and stealing video games when they go to people's houses. Fucked up, right? But anyway, so Tom couldn't commit to it, so we couldn't do him. And other people that were in the running were like, I think Mike, Elvin Shadow, who wasn't like more famous at the time or more known, and God, I don't even fucking remember, dude. It was like a handful of people. Oh, Roger too, of course, right? So we get to the tournament, right? And or we get to Evo or California, right? And we're trying to figure out how do we pick this fifth spot. And I'm like, okay, well, who does everyone think should be in the tournament? And let's just have for this fifth spot, and let's just have them play for it, right? So very early on, this is going to be some drama. Um, Josh was already out of the running. Like Josh got brought up real quick, but then Josh got out of the running because, dude, I've actually like double perfected Josh in a tournament before. And I'm like, dude, anyone that I double perfect in a tournament, I don't think is good enough to be on the team. And he was pretty quickly out of it. Like people brought him up real quick and they're like, yeah, dude, I don't think Josh should be on the team either. Boom. This is important for later, right? So like, okay, Josh. I'm like, who else should be it? And it was like between maybe Roger and Mike or something like that. And Roger's story is that Roger was actually rich. Roger was this rich kid, right? And Roger actually, I did think deserved to be able to play for the tournament, right? I mean, so Roger though had actually, he had paid for everyone's room at Evo and everyone's fucking plane ticket to Evo besides me because I thought that was completely fucked up. I'm like, dude, Roger, just because you're rich does not mean that you should fucking have to pay for my plane ticket and pay for my fucking hotel room. That is absolutely ridiculous. Don't do that, right? So the story with Roger is though, once we got to California too, Brian somehow had told all these Soul Calibur people that, hey, I have this rich friend and he can get you a free hotel room because he's going to pay for it. So, God, it was such bullshit. So, some other drama that went on that weekend was we get there and there's like maybe like five guys or something. I don't know. And Brian is like, oh, yeah, hey, can these guys stay with us? And dude, Roger, like, dude, he's like, oh yeah, sure, I guess. So Roger has to pay another fucking hotel room for all these people he's never met before. And then while we're going on this, some of the other guys from Team Serious come up to him and say, "Oh yeah, Roger, we just want to tell you we didn't bring any money to fucking eat for the entire fucking weekend." So Roger's, this rich kid's like, "Oh geez," he's like pulling out hundreds out of his fucking wallet and just giving it to people. And I'm like, "Holy fuck, dude!" And I'm like, Do you realize what these fucking dudes are doing to you?" And Roger comes to me later and he's fucking crying, dude, because Roger was also really religious, if people remember. And Roger was going to miss church on Sunday. Sounds fucking ridiculous, but it's true. He's like, dude, he's like, I don't know what to do. All these people keep asking me for money and I'm missing church. And I just had to, I have to call my parents because now I'm putting out like another $1,000 for this hotel room. And he's there like crying before the tournament to me, dude. And like throughout the weekend, this is going on because people were so shady to him. And I'm like, dude, Roger, dude, what the fuck are you doing? You don't fucking owe these people anything, dude. What are you doing, right? And so then I remember just so and of course, if people know the story, Roger after this tournament basically almost immediately cut off contact with the fighting game community. Besides me, and I think he talked to Kenji for a little bit, and for the most part, he completely cut ties off with everyone after this. It was so ridiculous, dude. So anyway, so he's like randomly crying to me in the back about all this later. And so some of the Team Sears guys are from Bed's like, oh, well, maybe we should just let Roger on the team for free because, he just paid for everyone's thing. And I'm like, first of all, dude, that's fucked up. I'm like, first of all, that's fucked up on you guys for everyone just like taking all his money and all this crap. You know what I mean? But don't give him the spot because you guys can't fucking pay for your shit because that's not fucking fair, dude. Like, fucking check yourself. And they're like, well, what do we do? It's like, I'm like, just do the tournament. We have all these people and just have them play for the tournament. And like, okay, whatever, right? So that's a true story too. So people are just going to give Roger the team spot for no reason, but I mean, paid for him and shit. But besides me, but so anyway, so we're doing the tournament, right? And all of a sudden, Josh comes in with his fucking parents, dude. And he's like, "Oh, hey guys, what are you guys doing? Hey guys." I think that's how he's like, "Hey guys, what are you doing, guys?" I forget how the fuck he talked, right? And he's like, "What are you guys?" And we're like, "Oh, we're doing this tournament for the last fist pop." He's like, "Wait, but I want to do it too." And he brings in his parents and he starts pouting with like tears in his eyes. And of course, Kenji is all of a sudden like, "Oh yeah, dude, I thought he should have been part of the tournament. Let him in, dude." And I'm like, I'm looking at Kenji and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me, dude? Because of course Kenji's pretty fucking two-faced, right? But whatever. I'm not saying he's a bad guy, but he's two-faced. But anyway. So I'm like, dude, Kenji, we've already fucking discussed this. He's not part of the tournament. He's like, no, man, I think you should be part of it, man. And it's like, oh my fucking God, dude. Are you serious? And I'm like, I'm telling you guys right now, if you put Josh in the tournament, everyone else gets to be in the tournament too. Because that's not fucking fair, dude. And they're like, okay, Clayton, but you know what? You got to run it. And I'm like, fine, I'm gonna fucking run it because you guys can't fucking stick up to anything you fucking say. It's fucking retarded. So anyway, I end up getting stuck running this fucking tournament. I don't get to play before the tournament Evo because I'm like, I'm gonna run this fucking tournament, and anyone that shows up, they're getting in the tournament now, right? So anyway, I have to run this fucking clusterfuck tournament. I can't even play or practice because I'm doing this fucking bullshit because people can't stand up for themselves. Anyway, so long, and I remember at one point, I don't even know. I mean, me and him are friends. I remember at one point, like we were already like hours and hours into it, and the tournament was like 10 minutes away or some bullshit. And like Ari shows up, Flo. He's like, "Hey, I heard you guys are doing this tournament. Can I pop up? Can I do it too?" And I'm like, "Dude, the tournament's about to start." I'm like, "Dude, if you would have been here, you could have entered it." You know what I mean? Because obviously, I think this thing is complete bullshit. But we're already so fucking far into it. I can't just put you in now, dude. And so I think he was salty about that. And he's never liked me because I beat him in tournaments. I think every time I've ever played him, right? I don't know, but he's always had a chip on his shoulder towards me, it seems. But whatever the case, so he was mad about that. So we get to Evo, we get to like where they're doing the tournament, right? And lo and behold, Josh actually wins the fucking tournament. Ooh boy, fuck me, I look fucking retarded, right? I don't know how the fuck he won. He played the best he ever has in his life, and he fucking won. Anyway, so we get to the tournament, and this is how old this is. I get to the tournament and we're looking around and there's like randomly people are playing on all these different kinds of TVs. And this is before people wanted to admit that certain TVs lagged and certain TVs didn't lag, right? Which of course I already knew this. I'm like, dude, this shit lags. This is bullshit, right? So throughout Evo, people are going to be playing on different tournaments, and some people were even fucking playing on movie screen projector screens. Like they were playing with a movie theater projection screen against the wall. Like, can you imagine how fucked up that lagged? You had to play on a movie theater screen, projecting screen, whatever the fuck it's called, playing against the wall, dude. And I'm like, holy fuck, dude. I'm like, what is this, dude? And I'm looking at this team thing, and they're like, yeah, not only that, the entire team tournament is going to be played on the movie theater projection screen. And I go up to them and I'm like, dude, this is complete bullshit. This is going to fucking lag. What are you guys doing? I'm like, no, it's not going to lag. And I'm like, dude, are you fucking kidding me right now, dude? And so they're like, dude, stop making up excuses, Clayton. This doesn't lag. And I'm like, oh my fucking God, dude. So I hadn't even played it all. We go to this thing, we have to play on a projector screen, dude. I can't fucking FRC or anything. We get fucking demolished, dude. And it's just like one of those things like, wow, dude, this was such bullshit, dude. And it's like, anyway, so that was that story. We got demolished, dude. And I went after that and I'm like, dude, I cannot believe this is how Evo's going to be. People are going to be randomly playing on all these randomly different TVs that are going to lag. And there's going to be some people are going to have to randomly play on a projector screen, which they often made me do, which is so fucking bullshit, dude. And that's why I just think I was like, wow, dude. I remember leaving that Evo and I was just so fucking pissed about that. I'm like, because they tried to make me say that I was a liar about that it was lagging. I had to listen to fucking Roger crying because people were abusing him the whole weekend. I didn't get the fucking practice. I had to listen to Josh's fucking antics because Josh came in crying with his parents, basically bitching about it. People were just so fucking like shady with each other. And the funny thing is, after that, I remember years later, of course, but of course, after the tournament, people tried to make me out to be a liar that, Final Showdown's a complainer. Years later, of course, they admitted that, like, yeah, okay, a lot of people did have to play on projector screen and all these different TVs that lag. But the thing is, both people had to play on it, so you're both being lagged. So it doesn't matter if you're complaining. One of those things they kind of quietly tried to sweep it under the rug years later when more people came hip to the fact that this kind of shit lags. Especially, how the fuck do you not know the theater projecting screen lags, dude? But of course, the community tried to make it out that, oh, Final Showdown's an asshole. He's a complainer, right? You know what I mean? But that just shows you how shady the community is. And also a funny story about that too was that years later, Josh actually messaged me, and I didn't even fucking respond to this. He's like, "Yeah, I just want to let you know that I forgive you for everything that you did to me that Evo." And I was like, "Oh my God, this dude has no fucking idea." And the funny thing is, dude, he doesn't even know, but Josh used to be a fucking joke to Team Serious. People used to bag on him all the time. Like I used to just be the dude like in the back listening to these stories, like with laughing, kind of like and then just like shaking my head about these stories. But people used to bag on Josh all the time, dude. And I'm not someone that goes around talking shit about people, whether people want to say it is or not. You know what I mean? What you want to think is true and what is true is are two differently things. But and I just remember it's like I always thought that's funny because I remember people used to bag on Josh and shit talk about him, and he must have thought that it was me. And the thing was, me and Josh aren't friends, so it doesn't really matter to me. And he's like so insignificant, I guess you could say, to me that I guess that sounds like I'm talking shit about him now, but I just didn't fucking care, dude. And it's like, dude, I just remember he sent me that message. I was like, dude, first of all, Josh, I just this thing like, first of all, I don't really care, dude. It doesn't matter to me because I don't fucking play video games anymore, dude. Not like I'm in tournaments. And I'm like, dude, if you really think that I go around fucking shit talking about you and I was out to get you at that Evo, like, dude, you are so fucking like out of the loop about what your friends actually would say about you, dude. Like, you used to be a joke. People used to talk shit about you, dude. But they wanted to like project that on me because it's always easier when someone is like honest to a fault. It's always easier, I think, to like be like, oh, let's just blame it on him. Let's blame it on Clayton because whatever, dude. But and the funny thing is too, I actually that I recall, I thought I heard a story. Should I even say who it is? Maybe you know. I heard a Team Serious guy actually ended up scamming him out of money eventually. So I always thought that was funny. I'm like, I wonder if that dude realized after that that all these people that he thought were his closer friends actually were Not as cool with him because I thought he was renting a place with someone, and I thought he skipped out of rent with the place. And I'm like, maybe this dude doesn't know, but maybe he's hip to the fact now that some of his friends aren't as cool as he thought they were to him. But anyway, so that's that story. Kind of anticlimactic, but that was just such a fucking terrible thing. And of course, after that, that's yeah, like I said, I went on disability. I did the radiation for my thyroid, and yeah, dude, that's pretty fucking sick, I guess. But anyway, that's that story. If anyone has any other questions about that, I think that's basically the gist of the story. Oh, another caveat to that story was that Drew also didn't get to practice before the tournament because Drew had missed his flight to California. Drew had missed his flight to California, so he barely got to Evo before it started or something. So he actually didn't get to practice before that either. But anyway, that's that story. And I just remember, I was in such a bad mood that entire weekend, dude. Just, fuck. The video game community is just such scum in general. But anyway, that's another story of the scumminess of the video game community and the shadiness of it. The end.